The competitive edgelords are coming out of the woodworks now. It seems like everyone is turning on Marvel Rivals because this game is too casual, not enough competitive, and they need to grow up. The developers have said this is a fun first, casual first experience, and just because it has a ranked mode doesn't mean it's competitive focused. What is up, everyone? My name is Flame078, and in today's topic video, we're breaking down this exact thing. Why is Marvel Rivals doing what it's doing? Excluding the sentiment that maybe they're just milking this cash cow, because that could be its own thing. I want to stay on task and I want to talk about basically a part 2 of this Chrono Shield token debacle as it's been lingering in my mind. And before you guys comment down below, please let me cook. That being said, let's start with just some basic breakdown so we talk about the same thing. When I'm talking about competitive focused, I'm talking about a game designed at its core for the game loop, for its skill tree to matter the most. Meaning if you are winning, you are consistently the better skilled player in whatever skills it's trying to target down. For example, in Apex Legends, a consistently good player will get to the top 5 no matter what. Or since we're talking about Rivals, for example, a Vanguard player, a high skilled Vanguard player will always have less than 10 deaths, something like that, right? Overall, just talking about that, the focus is to ensure that the game loop feels fair and that skill is truly the thing that matters in determining the outcome. So a casual focused game is focused on, sure, it needs to have some of those qualities, but overall, it's going to sacrifice, for example, bringing back Apex Legends, competitive integrity by having a Kraber item that one-shots you. And I'll touch upon that for a second, but I just wanted to give you guys a visual kind of understanding of what it means to sacrifice competitive integrity for a casual focus game. So ranked mode and the relationship to a competitive focus game, what is it? It's not mutually exclusive, and I feel like people think it is due to how they view modern titles. You look at Call of Duty now, you look at Apex Legends now, you look at Valorant, you look at Counter-Strike. If you look at their ranked modes, you kind of view them as, oh, this is the stepping stone to being a pro at the game, to being the best at the game. But the reality is this is a modern phenomenon, and a lot of titles that I grew up with, some that I have mentioned right now, did not have that going in. I did not log into Modern Warfare 2 to grind ranked. I did not log into Battlefield 3 and 4 to grind a ranked mode. Well, for Halo 3, I did a little bit, but for the most part, I was always in quick play. I was always just playing the game. And this is more nuanced and more out of my depth, considering this part correlates a lot to understanding the history of Major League Gaming, the rise of esports, and kind of just how FPS titles or competitive titles have shifted their dynamics in order to make gamers more engaged. And that's how I view ranked modes in general. Take away those things I said earlier, that is what ranked modes boil down to. Engagement tools to keep players coming back. So what makes the difference, right? It's how the game identifies itself. While a ranked mode, yes, is to let players see where their skill at and grow, the purpose of that mode changes based on the identity the game wants to have. Bringing back Apex Legends, it's a heavy esports focused competitive game. Why? Because that's what the developers want. I talked about the Kraber change. A lot of the casual average players were really pissed about that. Competitive pro players were happy about that. Gold knockdown. The list goes on. Why that friction? Simply put, what casual average players want and what pro players want are two different things. Pro competitive players want a fair playing field. Casual average players want fun. There is overlap in that, of course, because some casual players like myself enjoy competitiveness, but there are compromises that happen if you're choosing one way or the other. It's why in that conversation when I was talking about those changes in Apex Legends, a big thing was, why doesn't Apex have two versions, a esports version and a regular version? And that can be said for a lot of different titles too. Why do the casual players have to suffer for what the pro players want, quote unquote? And it's not about what pro players want, it's about what makes, like what I said earlier, fair play work. Fair play is the biggest thing you want in a competitive driven game, because Fair play means that the best of the best are the ones always on top. A gimmick like the Kraber, for example, while the shots and the crazy shots that could happen are really cool, there was no skill in that, considering one of the RNG elements of it, and two, actually no, that really is it. The RNG elements of the Kraber is the reason that made it not competitive. And I definitely have broken this concept down when I've had a lot of Apex content in. The difference between the Kraber in Apex Legends and say the sniper rifle or the rocket launcher in Halo, for example, is that everyone had an even chance of getting that weapon, versus in Apex, there was a random outcome to determine that. If it's random, it's not skill. If it's not skill, it's not competitive. Simple as that. But games have the right to identify in which way, and players need to, suck it up and be like, oh, I'm still gonna play this game because I fall in line with that, or you know what, it's not for me, moving on. That's how games work. There's nothing new. Grow up. I hate this childish modern mentality that if the game doesn't cater to me, it sucks. It's fucking stupid. Grow up. Marvel Rivals, from all intents and purposes, it's a casual, fun first philosophy. And the Chrono Shield thing hits the nail on the head of this philosophy. Even in their tweet, it is clear as day. Gold players and below. Lower ranks. What does lower ranks mean? Probably your average player, meaning they viewed their ranked mode as an engagement tool, not a tool to gauge, ooh, we can build an esports scene around this. Nah, they just are giving you, the player, a reason to log in daily for. By making it a less pressure thing, more players are gonna go into that. Of course there's room for abuse, and that's why there's a big rift around it. Of course, I'm not negating that. I'm talking about the philosophy here, the reasoning why this is even a thing. My only concern, minus the fact that it's in the game, is them going back and making this a paid thing, which they said they are not, but you never know. Marvel Rivals is clearly telling you that this is not an esports centric game. But dude, competitive mode, that's what it's about. No, I feel like I've already hit the nail on the head on this, but let me break it down for you. I, for example, play competitive mode or ranked modes in any game, because to me, that is the most consistent experience, because I hate the wishy-washiness of quick play. Specifically because I'm a solo queue player. The average gamer, the normal person playing any of these games, probably has something similar in the reason why. Bringing back Apex again, I hated pubs. I rarely ever touched pubs. I hated the hot dropping nature of the bullshit that was going on. I hated the rage quitting. I hated the inconsistent feeling of every match. Ranked was the only consistent experience that I had. It also did help that I was competitively driven and I wanted to improve and I wanted to grind the ranks. But what happened? I lost that competitive drive for XYZ reasons. So what was the point of me playing ranked? Well, I don't really want to grind anymore. Well, I don't want to play pubs. I left. A consistent game experience drives people to come back. The only reason randomness and those wacky moments work is because you're with friends. And grinding something does give you a reason to log back in. That is all competitive is to Marvel Rivals. That's what that mode is. Give a reason for players to come back and play the game. And because they play the game, they see a cool skin, they'll drop money. I enjoy Rivals for that reason. I'm getting a kick out of grinding the competitive mode, but it's not my driving factor. I'm still enjoying my single player experiences. That is what I'm gaming most of the time. If anything, I'm putting maybe 10 hours into Marvel Rivals a week, if that. And it's not to say that Rivals is perfect. No, it has some really glaring fucking issues. But to get uppity that it's not focusing on the comp players is silly when the developers themselves have said that that's not what they care about. Now, the Chrono Shields are still a bad thing because it leaves room for abuse. You're going to see that being abused, absolutely. There is a risk that this will be a paid thing, which will suck, and NetEase has a history of doing that with other games. It's a mobile game tactic that is very effective, so I wouldn't be surprised seeing it in Marvel Rivals. And for me, there's really no reason to add this to the game. The Chrono Shield thing is already a thing. So to me, I don't see any positive thing for it. But if I were to take it as a lens of the developer, I can see the benefits, as again, it'll drive people to be more engaged with it. For those who are not abusing it, obviously, will allow them to engage in competitive mode more And of course, if they do that, they'll feel good because they're climbing. And if they feel good that they're climbing, they're more willing to spend money. And to me, then that's why it always lingers. Dude, are they just milking this game? But that's my piece now. I would love to know your thoughts. My name is Flame078. Until next time, adios.